Welcome to this Friday Brunch Dharma, 5th of June. This morning I'm going to talk about the Anatta aspect of the three characteristics. Now, the Anatta aspect is complex for many reasons. First of all, the most important reason is that we mustn't try to conceptualize what anatta is. As soon as we try to figure out what anatta is, we have built a concept of no self, and that will remain with us. We cannot go beyond that, just concept of no self. The correct way to see anatta is through seeing self. It is by exploring and investigating and finding out what self is. Then we can understand what is it that this self that we have is made up of. The first thing I want to clarify is that the Buddha says that there is no permanent self. That's it. It doesn't go beyond that. Now, when we are tackling anatta, when we're trying to gain the experience of anatta, we have to look at it. And the first thing that comes to know is the first characteristic, which is anicca. So when we have anicca in practically everything, right, then we definitely cannot have a permanent self. Rupa, when we invested that all rupa, anicca, are changing, are temporary, then we cannot have a permanent self. Right? We cannot have, say, a permanent self in the body when the body is changing all the time. Now, when we come to see that the feeling changes as well, perception changes, consciousness changes, so we cannot have the self as part of the body, part of the self, part of self, of consciousness, made up of consciousness, made up or made up of the body, because all changes. Now the thing you say, well, my perception doesn't change. Well, your perception changes because the perception changes from seeing, hearing, to feeling, and it's not continuous. Right? You must understand that mind or process sequentially. Right? So when you're seeing something, you're seeing something. When we're hearing, we're not seeing. When you're smelling, we're not hearing. So it's sequential. So our perception changes from very fast. So we want to know that the self cannot be made up of the body, rupa, or molecules, right? Because it's changing. A permanent self cannot be made of that. Cannot be made of feelings, perception, thinking, and consciousness, because we've seen that during our meditation and in the investigation of our body. And the second aspect is that if we say the aspect of control, power. We know that we have no control of our body. You cannot say, I want this body, to remain youthful, to be not grow old at all, to be strong, not fall ill, but we can't, right? We cannot say, I want this good feeling, I don't want this bad feelings. We cannot control our feelings. We cannot control our perception. I just want to stick to seeing things, I don't want to hear things. We cannot. We cannot say, I do not want to think of all the depressive thoughts. We have no control. I do not want my consciousness to change. I want to stay in this peaceful consciousness all the time. We cannot, because we know all process goes according to dependent origination. All process depends on the previous condition, which conditions the next condition. So now, we say, well, there may be something like a soul in us, something permanent. It doesn't have to be made up of all the five khandhas, it's something special, Well, the first thing is, even though you say there's something like a permanent soul, which is not made up of any of the five khandhas in this world, which the Buddha says, there's nothing else apart from the five khandhas. You say, we have this permanent soul. But the thing that, supposing you say, yeah, okay, we have this permanent soul, permanent thing, But the problem is that if you have this permanent thing, right, but it has no control, then it's pretty useless. It's just like having a bit of plastic within you, I have this plastic soul, but it cannot do anything. It has no control of my body, it has no control of my feeling, has no control of my perceptions, thinking, or even my consciousness. So it's useless to imagine such a thing, to hold on to such a thing. So that's the second aspect, the aspect of control. The first aspect is all things are impermanent. Now, the third aspect is that we come to know that self is a problem. When you have a self, you have a problem with us. If somebody has a permanent self, you have a problem with that. Almost all our problems comes from self. If you open up the dictionary, you have things like selfishness, self-abuse, self-pride. Anything you can think of is related to self. So when we come to know that if we have this view of self, we hold on to this self, then we are going to suffer. If you start thinking about yourself, too much, that is not a very good thing. I find that when I start thinking about myself, it's just like a big black hole. I get deeper and deeper and deeper, and I cannot get out. It keeps sucking everything in. Everything is just about you. Nothing else. So you do not want to hold on to this self when it causes you a problem. That's the third aspect. That's what the Anatta Lakkhana Suttas say. If it's painful, don't hold on to it. Right? So you let go. So every time you start thinking about yourself, Let go of it. Not worth it. You're approaching a black hole. You're going to be sucked into your own black hole. So get away from it. Get your thinking away of it. When you're thinking of somebody as well, you're approaching another black hole. Get sucked into it. Sucked into hating that person. Or sucked into loving that person. Or lusting after that person. So you want to avoid that because you know the end result is suffering. Now there's another aspect of a self, a permanent self. When you come to think of this permanent self, that means you're stuck. You're limited to one personality, limited to one way of thinking, limited to one way of speaking, one way of action. Liberation is not about that. Liberation means you're free. You're free to adopt whatever personality you want. You can respond to situation because you're not fixed. You're not permanent. Right? So having a self is limited. There's no advantage to it. You cannot move away from your permanent self. Right? So you do not want to hold on to yourself. You can really feel it when you're feeling stubborn, I'm not moving my position, I'm going to stick to it, I don't want to listen, that's it. I don't want to talk, I'm holding on to this position. No matter what you're saying, I'm not moving. That's holding on to this limited self, this one fixed point of view, And you can see a lot of people with a lot of beliefs, they hold on to that beliefs. They cannot entertain anything else beyond their belief. They're scared to go outside their beliefs. Right? They feel comfortable holding on to their beliefs. So we have to see all this. Right? We have to examine what self is. Right? Like I say, beliefs is very strongly held view, believing who you are, what other people are like, what you are like. So it's a very strongly held view. When you come to examine it, you do not want to hold on to that views. You want to let go of that. You are not always like that. You behave differently to different people. Right? You behave differently with your best friend. You behave differently with your worst enemy. You behave differently when you confront a cute baby. Right? So we change. We change not because we want to change. We change because we come into contact with different objects or different mental identity which we build. So when you come to examine self, you'll find that the strongest aspect of self is your own view of self. That is something which you have to break through first. When you come to know, that you hold on to this view of self, and you break through that, That's not the end of it. There is still the perception of self. Now, this perception of self that you have is not permanent, but it keeps arising in you because it's habitual, you know. You have this perception of self, yourself, and other people. When in your mind you're talking to somebody else, or somebody else is talking to you. So you have this mental identity of you and the other person, but not as strong. So that's the second stage, of destroying this perception of self. And the final stage is the consciousness of self. Now that you can't see it until you've broken the view of self. The view of self is so strong that you can't penetrate to. You can still see the perception of self, but not the consciousness of self. So that's how you want to tackle, the second aspect of anatta. It's only when you start breaking down all these different versions of self, the view of self, then you come to know something different. You're free. You come to know an emptiness. You come to know a little bit of liberation. Right? You can respond differently. And when you come to break the perception of self, you find that you're even more free. Right? You're not confined, to your own perception of who you are. You're not confined to your perceptions of what other people are like. So you don't hold on to perceptions of who they are. And you accept anything can happen. Anything good can happen. Anything beautiful can happen. So where do you start with this practice of self? First of all, the view of self. Every time you start thinking about yourself, then you want to see what views you're holding onto yourself. Right? Secondly, when you feel this sense of self, strong sense of self within you, you want to examine it. You want to know, where is it in the five khandhas that I believe myself exists? Is it in the rupa? Is it in feeling? Is it in perception? Is it in thinking or in consciousness? So you have to examine it, really examine it to find where your sense of self, So when you learn and when you practice doing this investigation, and you find that slowly your view of, you don't hold on to that view strongly. You don't feel that sense of self strongly. And you become a little bit less stubborn. Right? When you're stubborn, then you're holding on tightly to a view, and you're holding tightly to your sense of self. You're not budging. You're staying solid, and you know what that kind of feeling is. And all this practice, leads towards liberation, a liberating feeling, freedom, no choice. Right? and you're able to respond differently. You're able to let go of things faster. And the second aspect of self is possession. Right? So with possession, then you have to say, if there is no me, there cannot be any possession. But you have to understand this no me in terms of the absence of atta. So when you have an experience of that, you have an inkling of what it is, not a definition, but your own direct experience, there's just a view, then you say, to hold on to say this thing belongs to me is not accurate. And if things belongs to me, I belong to the thing itself as well. So there's suffering. I have to look after it. I have to protect it. So the more things you have, the more suffering you get. How you don't know? You say, well, not sure. Just try imagine everything that you possess goes wrong. Just imagine that. Something wrong with the house, something wrong with the car, something wrong with your member of your family, something wrong with your job. Just imagine that. But if it doesn't belong to you, it doesn't matter, the car breaks down, or that roof is leaking, You want to get it repaired, you get it repaired, There's no tie to it. The mobile phone is not working. Mobile phone gets stolen. So every time when you want to possess something new, just think, what happens if all these things goes wrong in one go? Frightening experience. So I'm just giving you examples, how to do your investigation. Then you proceed to find ways of investigating things, to see dukkha, suffering, in owning a self, and in owning things that belongs to the self. But like I always say, when you investigate things and come to know Paramattha Dhamma, this means absolute truth, you must also respect conventional truth. Sammuti Satcha. You cannot say that, well, things really doesn't belong to people, so I can take it, No, it's not right. There's conventional truth. It belongs to somebody legally. Right? We have a legal system. We have rules in society. That's conventional. So we have to respect them. Right? So when you understand more about the absolute truth, you must also remember that conventional truth is real in the sense of convention, the way we live our life. We cannot live without convention. You cannot just simply enter into somebody's house, and say, this house doesn't really belong to you, You cannot do that. Both are real. You need the conventional truth to live in society, so that society can function harmoniously. You need absolute truth to be able to see things clearly and know reality clearly from delusion. Knowing absolute truth takes you onto a path of liberation, of freedom. Finally, freedom from samsara, freedom from the cycle of rebirth. Think about it, investigate it, and you'll find that you become lighter and freer. Now you've listened to this Dhamma, you've gained some merit. Straighten your views, more merit. When you do your practice investigating along this line, develop more merit. With the merit that you develop, you want to share it, and also you want to transfer it to your departed relatives. So I'm now going to chant the transference of merit, and then in your heart, transfer those merit to your departed relatives to support them. And you get this bonus merit. Yatha varivaha pura pare purenti sagaram meva meva ito dinam petanam upakapati ichitam patitam tumham kipam iva samijatu sape purentu sangapa chando panaraso yatha Manijoti raso yatha sabitiyo vivajantu sabarogo vinasatu mate pavan vantarayo sukhi dikayuko bhava apiva Tanasili sani jambuddha pachayino Jataro Dhamma Vadanti Ayuvano Sukhang Balang Bhavatu Sabba Mangalang Vakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Bhuttanu Bhavena Satha Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabba Mangalang Vakantu Sabba Devata Sappathammanubhavena satha soti bhavantu te bhavatu sabba mangalam rakantu sabba devata sabba sanghanu bhavena satha soti. ภาวันตุเต